Hey, Shalom, Akim. This is a Bayan Allah here, the Surrogate of Yahawashi / Paradigms of all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, BAHASHAM, Yahawashi, BAHASHAM, Rakah HaKodash, double honors to the apostles and elders of Greatmillstone, to the truth. Well, peace and salutations to the ships that feed the sheep of Yahawah, which means he to be in the ancient Hebrew, which is the Heavenly Father's ancient Hebrew name, and only begotten Son, who word ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. The real name in the Hebrew is Yahawashi, and the Hebrew, which means he delivers, is coming to deliver. Uh, 12 tribes of the nation of Israel, beginning with his elect from the second death, which are those thermonuclear destruction, as an end result of World War III, of the Lord judging the nations round about, who did touch the apple of the Lord's eye. 12 tribes consist of so-called Negroes, West Indian Haitians, Hispanic Latinos, Native Seminole Indians, and those descend from those 12 that are scattered in every nation under heaven that look like those heathen nations where they were scattered. Okay, some of them, which would be considered the speckled birds in the scriptures. All right, to you, the sincere, those who have woken up to this truth, globally. All right, to you, I say shalom. This is not a color thing. All right, this is a thing of predestination. Okay, and the 2/3 of the nation of Israel that don't receive salvation will be reborn in the kingdom as newborn babes. All right, to inherit the promises of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the promises of the fathers. All right. So, real quick, just want to get into how we couldn't access what is it, RT News, which brothers use a lot, for information, that isn't fluffed or propagated. You know, couldn't really access the website, and I think there's a block on YouTube as well. I think they only do it in certain places overseas, like in the UK, but also here they're blocking certain things as well. Why? Because them in the West or whatnot have lost control of the narrative. They can't use their propaganda machine. All right, it's not. It's been found malfunctioning or defunct, for lack of a better word. Not as effective as it should. Because news international news stations like RT, BBC will pretty much tell you what's actually happening. Okay, they don't control the emotions of the public, to persuade, the masses, all right, within their own countries to lie to them, all right. So, brother from GMS, Greatmillstone, his name is Shapatya over there in Greatmillstone, Chicago, all right. I saw it earlier this weekend, but he beat me to it. Through the spirit, just want to go into that, okay, because they're doing that at certain stations. But as you can see, I can access it now. Somehow earlier I couldn't access it, but you can see you can access it here. All right. So, like I said, you're gonna see more things like this, going down. The controlling information like that. That movie. I think it's Fahrenheit 457. They tried to burn all the books and all the information All right, of their history. Talking about Esau's history, or any other history for that matter, to start afresh. This artificial blessing of a new world, which is actually an old intent from the past. All right, because the next kingdom of rule will be what the kingdom of heaven. All right, under Yahawashi, who the word we call Jesus Christ, dark skinned man, full head of hair, full beard, and from the tribe of Judah. All right, and all the 12 tribes, to be a kingdom forever and ever. All right, we'll be in domination and rule forever. That's the promise unto Jacob. Esau doesn't have that blessing. That's why he has such hatred for the tribes. All right, because his blessing was never his to begin with. All right, he had his time to rule. All right, and like the scriptures say, Esau softly, what you call it? He cried. All right, I forget how it goes. I think it's in the book of Hebrews where he actually cried. tears because he thought he lost his blessing, all right, to rule the entire planet forever. But it was never given to him anyway. Okay, it was given to Jacob, us, Lord willing, not be of the hopeful elect, 144,000 via the pot or the election of the 1/3, right? So I don't want to go off topic too much. I just want to show you how information, these videos of the apostles and elders, edifying videos, they're gonna be cut down soon because now uh, there's talks of the U.S. preparing for a major cyber attack all of a sudden. Okay, and they have the perfect boogeyman to do so, to crash this system. Okay, so everything's on the plate. All right, so just want to share this just want to go into this real quick. Hopefully this video is edifying to the elect. Till next time, Shalom. Yahawashi, Shabbat, and I have a video right after I close this out, so you'll see it after I close it out. Till next time, Shalom.
This is Ingrid Mangle from Washington tonight. We have a lot to get to, so let's dive right in. Speaking of freedom matters, the freedom problem. That's the focus of tonight's angle. Now, back in May of 2020, just a few months into the pandemic, the UN High Commissioner of Human Rights delivered what was actually a surprising warning.
When we restrict certain human rights because of a need like a natural cause or a pandemic like this one, it has to be, first of all, it has to be a clear need. It has to be proportionate to the need, and it has to have a time bound. It cannot be forever. We have seen that some governments are using it to shrink, to make even more shrink the civic space and the possibility of civil society to express, and that is unacceptable.
How prescient she was. 2 years later, with freedom convoys inspiring millions around the world, officials who thought they would never be held accountable are growing more desperate.
The Emergencies Act will be used to strengthen and support law enforcement agencies at all levels across the country. This is about keeping Canadians safe. These tools include strengthening their ability to impose fines or imprisonment. Financial institutions will be authorized or directed to render essential services to help address the situation by regulating and prohibiting the use of property to fund or support illegal blockades.
What would such a soft, pretty man ever know about keeping anyone safe? Not much. Weak and ineffective leaders don't change course even when COVID recedes, because I've said for almost 2 years now, this was never about the virus. It was about creating a compliant public. A compliant public that was kind of primed to obey the next lockdown order, no questions asked. The assaults on our basic liberties have been wide-ranging. School closures denied children quality education. That was the freedom to learn. Vax and mask mandates deprived us of our freedom to decide what we put into our own bodies. Stay-at-home orders destroyed small businesses while large corporations thrived. That was our freedom to work. Then big tech censorship, where YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, they acted as proxy speech police for the government, our freedom of expression. Anyone who didn't toe the Fauci line, even treating physicians and renowned researchers, were threatened. They were suspended, maligned, and even banned completely. Some lost their jobs. Calling something COVID misinformation gave the government carte blanche through their proxies to trample on free expression. Now, who will ever forget how Democrat governors let you shop together but not pray together? Churches shuttered, our freedom to worship halted. The experts never thought that faith was essential, but somehow they deemed that liquor stores were. So this anti-freedom coalition on the left even deployed intimidation squads in corporate and school settings with the goal of silencing employees and parents who spoke out. Now take this fascinating case of Jennifer Say. She was an Elizabeth Warren supporter from the Bay Area who was forced out of her high-profile job merely for speaking out against school closures and lockdowns. Now, Ms. Say, then president of Levi Strauss, felt passionately about the need for in-person schooling. She wrote, "I kept calling out hypocritical and unproven policies. I met with the mayor's office and eventually uprooted my entire life in California so that my kindergartner could finally experience real school." Well, back in March 2021, Jennifer appeared on The Angle.
Whether there's politics involved or not, I got to take care of my kid. And I want to help all kids because I realize I'm very lucky that I can pick up and come here. And I know not everyone has that opportunity, but I will tell you, families I know are scraping together everything they have to either go to private or move to a district or a state that's open, because at the end of the day, our kids need to be in school.
Now, she's a liberal. I'm a conservative. Her comments were entirely reasonable. But then she writes, "That appearance on this show was the last straw. The head of diversity, equity, and inclusion at the company asked that I do an apology tour. I was told that the main complaint against me was that I was not a friend of the Black community at Levi's. I was told to say that I am an imperfect ally." Well, then she said she refused to do any of that. Now, this woman was on track to be the CEO of a major company, a liberal with biracial children, canceled by the corporate mob. Think about that. So the left is so freaked out now because their COVID fortress of rules and edicts is collapsing, before they had the chance, of course, to make their new normal permanent. They're so frantic that they're trying to stigmatize the word freedom. In other words, your freedom kills people, even when they're vaccinated.
I love how people talk about personal freedom. If you're exercising personal freedom puts someone else in jeopardy, their health in jeopardy. I don't consider that being dealing with freedom.
Now, the mocking of freedom has been a thing of Biden's for a while now.
Two things that concern me. One are those who just try to make this a political issue. Freedom. I have the freedom to kill you with my COVID. No, I mean, come on, freedom.
Never heard a president, never thought I would hear a president say something like that. And the media picks it up and then repeats it with their own lame flourish. Now the message is to be afraid of those who want freedom.
What you've seen in Canada is others are fearful of these protesters who are arguing for freedom.
Now sort of generically anti-government, all wrapped in this sort of notion or the guise of freedom, whatever that means to these individuals.
But freedom for the rest of you to do and speak your mind? No, they don't want that. Here's the way the progs at the CBC describe the word. It's malleable, and a term that thrives among far-right groups. Yet no matter the rubbish they say or publish about this freedom quest spreading across the globe now, the truth about what the powerful did these past 2 years is coming to the fore. It can't be that we live in a country where freedom only exists for the connected and wealthy, who can go maskless at the Super Bowl as third graders sweat it out in N95 masks in class in LA. But they'll always feel justified when they take away your freedom or when they skirt the rules. It's going to be that the roads are dangerous, the climate's warming, the variants are coming. And almost 6 years ago, it was that Trump was running. They had to stop him. Rules be damned. The left didn't think twice when they locked the children out of schools. And the Clinton campaign didn't think twice when they deployed internet spies in an effort to destroy Trump and nullify your vote. Even though the ends for them always justify the means, we know what was going on. And the press, they did too. But they didn't cover the stories that mattered. They covered them up. But here's the good news. The anti-freedom coalition is unraveling. And that's The Angle.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click